is Annette, and I have a small home bakery I call AnnabelleleighCakes, and I'm so glad you came back. Last week we did our first video on a trio of videos we're doing for a Woodland Babies tablescape. Last week we did the Woodland rustic cake plate. This week we're doing the baby deer cake topper for the cake. And then next week, on the next video, we'll do the Woodland Babies cupcake toppers. And also the pretzels with the chocolate-covered moss theme. And again, the purpose of these videos is twofold. One is just so you and I can spend some time together and art together. Right now, my art of preference is cake decorating, and I love it. So it's just going to be you and me sitting at the table, and we're going to just learn to do stuff together. Again, today we're going to do a baby deer cake topper. And then I also use this as a platform to just kind of share with you some thoughts that are going to help you to navigate this crazy thing called life. It's hard, and we can all get by with a little help from our friends. And when it comes to life, like I mentioned last week, I've seen it done it, been there, got the t-shirt. So I just feel like, I just feel called to just share with you some thoughts that I have on how to do that. So first thing before we even get started, I'm just going to get really real with you. Last week, when I made the first video, it was hard because I have never done this before. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. But I got it done, and it's not perfect, but it went together pretty well without any snags. Oh my gosh, this week was just an entirely different story. Actually, today's Sunday. I actually sat down this past Monday, and I made myself a to-do list, which is something I never do. I don't know why I did it that day, but on my to-do list was to make the second video. So I spent the day getting prepared and doing what I needed to do. And that evening, I started the process to get the video made. Well, I normally use my iPad to make the videos, but I wanted to do an overhead view of how to actually make the deer. So I only had a mount that would fit my iPhone. So I set about trying to get the iPhone in the mount and get it positioned right so that you could see what I was doing. Somehow during that process, I managed to call 911 3 times. And I'm scrambling trying to disconnect the call before the operator comes on the line, and I'm frazzled. And all of a sudden, my phone says, "Were you aware that when you squeeze the top ends of your phone at the same time, it initiates a call to 911? And I'm like, "No, Siri, I was not aware of that." So I watch a lot of true crime. I know how this works. I'm pretty sure they're going to send somebody out to do a well check because they're probably going to think the old woman is stuffed in a closet in some mad, crazy person's basement and she just can't complete the call, so we're going to go save her. That was the vision I had in my mind. So I decided I just need a minute. So I went and sat out on the porch. It was dark already, but it was warm, and it was pouring down rain. So I thought I'll just watch the rain and just sit here and take a breath until the SWAT team shows up. Well, after about 15 minutes, nobody came, so I figured the coast was clear. So I went on inside and started again, and this time I actually managed to get the phone in the mount without dialing 911. As frustrating as that was, at least I learned something. I did not know that you could dial your phone by pinching the top ends together, dial 911. I don't know why you need to know that, but now I know that. So I actually get through the whole video, get the deer made. It seemed like everything went smoothly. And here's a spoiler alert. It's a 45-minute process just to make the deer. So just be aware of that. You might need a snack if you watch this video all the way through. So anyway, I get the video done, and I take it out of the mount to go just make sure everything's good. And I'm looking at the phone, and I'm fiddling, and I'm thinking, what the fuzz? There's no video. It did not record a nanosecond of tape. Nothing. Nada. Zip. Zilch. There's nothing there. I could not believe it. 45 minutes. I got a deer made. And there's no video. I need something cold to drink. So I go to the fridge, pull out a bottle of water, get the Sonic cherry limeade drink that I like, put the powder in the bottle, go to shake vigorously to make sure it's well mixed. The lid comes off, and I get baptized in cherry limeade goo. It's all over me, the cabinets, the floor. It's red, so it's gonna stain, and it's such a mess. I am done with this day. I just ate a bowl of Honey Smack cereal and went to bed. So I get up the next morning and I think, okay, I'm just gonna regroup today. I'm gonna go shopping to get supplies I make for cake orders and cupcakes that I have to do for this week and next. And I'll just zip by the electronics store and see if they can help me pick out a few doodads that'll make this job a little easier. And I got loaded down with some stuff, and I just have not been able to deal with it all week. I've just been putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. So I decided we're going to do it today, and hopefully today will go better. But the word I want to start out with, your inspiration for this video, is this. Patience, practice, perseverance is the key to life. I don't care what anybody says. You just have to persevere and be patient with yourself and just practice, practice, practice. I suddenly remembered I went through the same process when I was trying to learn how to use a computer. I was 40 before I ever touched a computer, and I didn't even know how to turn it on. That's how stupid I was when it comes to electronics. But I did learn it. It took a lot of tears and it was just so frustrating because it was just too, I'm an artist. I'm not a techno person. I'm an artist. I don't know, but I had to learn, and I did. And this is just going to be the same process for me. But I will tell you, I've just developed a whole new appreciation for people that do these videos on a daily basis, and they make it look effortless. And you have to, have been amazed at how many things you have to think about to make these videos. It's not just sit down in front of your equipment and make a video. You have to prepare, and you have to think about little things. For example, today I'm doing the overhead view so that while I make the deer, so you can kind of better see what I'm doing, or at least that's my hope. And I thought, oh, I don't want to have hoochie nails when I'm making that video, so I have to make sure they're clean and they're cut and polished. So just little things like that you just don't think you should have to think about. It just boggles the mind. So I don't care what you're doing, just hang in there with it. Don't give up, especially if it's something you really feel called to do. What I had to do when I was learning the computer was tape a little visual across my monitor. Patience, practice, perseverance. And actually I've got it hanging on my wall over there just to remind me, you can do this, you just have to practice. And it's a simple beginning, but it does say in Zacchaeus, never despise the day of small beginnings, because you got to start somewhere. So just whatever you're trying to do, don't give up on yourself or your project. Patience, practice, perseverance. That's your word for the day. So now we're going to get started. Now, we'll mention to you that you're going to need a lot of stuff to make this baby deer. Hobby Lobby does not know I live, so they are not paying me to say this. But with the tools that we're going to use, there's just stuff you're going to need. And when I was there this week, they have this package of tools. It's 8 tools, which I consider necessities of life if you're doing this kind of thing. The regular price is $5, but every other week they have most of their cake decorating tools, the boxes, the colors, the cake pans, all these tools and things for half price. which is a deal. So I actually picked this up for $2.50. And again, they're not paying me to tell you that, but this is a deal. So I would encourage you, just download their app to your phone. You can check it every week to see what's on sale, and when they have cake decorating supplies on sale, everything you buy, everything is 50% off. So keep that in mind. You're going to need a little fondant roller, some paint brushes, ramekin with some water. I always keep a little bit of a little container of cornstarch handy because your fingers get gooey and it sticks to your fingers. You're going to need some cutters. I need tiny circles, so I have actually a cake tip here with tiny circles. And then I've got a little circle one, a leaf shape, a little tiny flower, again, a bigger leaf. Again, all these are things you're going to use. Now, you don't have to, I'm not trying to send you out on a big shopping spree, but you just got to have the right tool for the job. I also have a bottle of the little white pearls. I use those all the time, so I would encourage you to pick up a bottle of those. And again, if it's something you can pick up at Hobby Lobby every other week, everything in their cake decorate, there's some things that's not on sale, but for the most part, the whole section is half price. So when I go to make a cake topper, I always make sure I have a cake pan the size that I'm actually going to be using. That way I can make sure my topper is not too big or too small for the cake that I'm making. Because I use this size all the time, I just cut out a styrofoam form and wrapped it in aluminum foil. Always get a clean piece of parchment paper with the start of every project so that I can just make it here and then just let it dry until I'm ready to actually put it on the cake. Now, just to start with on this project, you're just going to want to go ahead and just make your forms. Roll out the body and the head. Now for the body, it's just basically going to be the size of a great big old sausage. So you're going to want to just roll your fondant till you get it the size that you want. And then you're just going to kind of, I know the fondant's black and my shirt is, so, but you just want to curl it up to where you have the neck and the body. And then put your skewer in here to kind of hold everything in place. And then just put it in your styrofoam form here to just kind of harden. Typically overnight it'll set up enough to where you can go ahead and complete your project. You'll do the same thing with the head. Just roll it out like you need it and just set it here. Just walk away and let it dry. Now this is a egg carrier for deviled eggs, and it's just perfect because this is, you don't want to lay the head on a flat surface because the bottom of your head will get flat. You don't want that. But if you have an egg carrier, it's the perfect thing to keep, just let the head set up to where you can work with it, because when you first do this, it's so soft, it's pliable, it's just hard to work with. So just put it in if you're doing anything round that you want it to stay round, just put it in your egg carrier and just let it set up until you're ready to work with it. I'm going to have to take just a second to get my overhead set up, so I'm going to just cut out for just a second. Just take a second, so don't leave me, and we'll be back and make a deer. And again, it's about a 45-minute process to make the deer, so if you're going to watch it for the duration, you might want to grab a snack. I'll be right back. Let's go ahead and get our little deer put together. I was able to get this actually set up without alerting 911, so that's always a good thing. And no, your eyes are not deceiving you. This is an egg carrier. I have found that it is just perfect for stuff like this where you need for it to keep its shape. I love to work with fondant. It's just like working with Play-Doh, except if your child happens to pick up a swipe and eat it, you don't have to pinch their cheeks together to get them to spit it out. They can go ahead and swallow it. I will tell you that it's soft and gravity is not its friend, so this is not something you're going to make this morning and then put on your cake for this afternoon. You're going to have to do this a couple of days in advance. And I've already gone ahead and made my head and my body. The head, you just want a kind of an almond shape. You just roll it in your hands like this and get it to the smoothness that you need it. I'm just going to just kind of give you an idea. Just quickly, just kind of pinch out the little features that you want. In this case, we need a little nozzle, a little nose, and then once you get it in the shape that you like, which is this is what we want for the deer, kind of looks like a miniature potato with a snout. You're going to go ahead and just set it in your egg carrier here so it'll keep its shape, but kind of have time to set up, because if you immediately make it and then put it on your deer's body, two things are going to happen. The weight of the head is going to cause the body to sag, and you don't want that. And then also the weight of the head, it's just going to kind of slouch, and you don't want that either. So just be aware, this is kind of something you're going to need to do over a few days. So let's do the head first. In my mind, that's always the hardest part. Now I've already made indentations here for the eyes. So this is just kind of where I want them to go. In my brain, the eyes are the hardest part, so let's do that one first. I like to get the hard stuff over first. So we want to make the white of the eyes first, and we just need two little small circles. And you want a little bit of oval shape, but not quite like a watermelon seed. But you do want to have a little bit of oval to it, so it's not going to be totally circular or a circle. And then we're just going to fit it in there for size. That's probably more than I need. Let me go ahead and redo that. All right, I think that looks better. All right, so we're going to go ahead, put that there. And once you get it like you like it, the shape and the position, you're going to want to go ahead and use some water, just a little bit, because especially when you're working with dark colors, your fondant will run, and you don't want that, especially after you've done so much hard work to get it made. So once we get these in position, we're just going to go ahead, I think it's a little bit bigger than it needs to be. And again, this is exactly like working with Play-Doh. If you haven't used fondant before, it's exactly like working with Play-Doh. And it tastes like marshmallows. A lot of people say they don't like fondant, but if they tasted it, it'd be just like marshmallows. Now you can see it's wanting to slide off of here, so we're going to have to just use a little bit of water on a brush and just kind of glue them into place. You don't need a whole lot. That's still a little bit bigger than I want it to be. But you just need enough to hold it in place to make it sticky, so they will adhere to one another. You don't want to go losing body parts because they're not sticking together. All right, that's much better. All right. So I just put a little bit of water in a ramekin. Here it is. And just a little teeny tiny clean brush. Just kind of go around the edges a little bit, just to hold it in place so it doesn't slide off. Now it'll dry clear, so it looks kind of wet right now, noticeable that you put it on there, but once it dries, it'll be fine. Oh, I had a ramekin. All right, now then, the next thing I'm going to do here is do the eyeliner. Yeah, he's going to be a diva. He needs eyeliner. And this is another one of those things that, in my mind, is hard. So I just like to kind of get it done as quickly as possible so I can set it and forget it. So we're going to you need the smallest circle cutter you can find, because you don't need a lot for this. And just kind of go around the edges of it and make sure they're nice and smooth. Now for the eyeliner, it's not hard. It's just one of those things takes patience, practice, and perseverance. All right, so you're just going to cut just a very small edge of the circle, just like that. Well, it's not wanting to let go. There we go. And then you're going to kind of form it the way you want it to look when you put it on the eye. Now for this, I'm just going to go halfway down this side, and then I'm going to kind of, let's stick into my fingers, going to kind of, let me get some cornstarch. Here we go. All right, that's better. Just kind of want to pick it up, smooth it out a little bit, and then just curl up the one end to kind of look like an eyelash. And then you're just going to put it in place, just get it where you want it. That wasn't so bad. And then you just go around it again with just a smidge of water, not too much, because that black will run, and then you'll be so unhappy with your end result. But that kind of makes his eye pop a little bit and also gives him a little bit of an eyelash. You're going to do exactly the same thing for the other side. Might want to just go ahead and make a nuke so it'll be perfectly round. Not everything has to be perfectly round, but sometimes you just need that round edge, and not too thick. So we're cutting out another circle here. Just going to make sure the edges are smooth. There we go. All right. Again, you're just going to do exactly like you did on the other side. Just kind of smooth out the edges. Curl up that eyelash like you want it. And then put it into place. All right. And they don't have to be exactly the same, but you want them to be as closely the same as possible, but it's not going to tear a hole in the cosmic universe if they aren't exactly the same. But you do want to put enough water on here where it'll stick in place, otherwise it'll fall off at some point, and you don't want that. But you don't want to do so much that that black fondant starts to run. All right, so there's the eyes and the eyeliner and the eyelash. So now we're going to get just a little bit more black. The worst of it's done. I'm not satisfied that they're exactly the same shape. So I'm just going to fiddle with that a little bit. And you can still do that until it gets completely dry, and then it's done deal. So if you see something that needs adjustment, now's the time to do it. And I'm just going to adjust these eyes a little bit so they're a little bit more uniform. All right, I think that's a little better. All right, much better. So we're almost done with the eyes, yay! All right. So we just need 2 teeny tiny circles. So I'm just using I have this cake tip. It has just a perfect size for these eyes. And again, if you do a lot of cake stuff like I do, you're going to have a lot of this stuff already on hand. I don't want you to have to feel like you have to go out and buy a load of stuff every time you do a project, but you really do need the right tool for the job. Now you kind of want to get those in place, and when you're satisfied, you want to know where that needs to live. Just a teeny tiny dab of water, just enough to make it a little bit sticky, and then just put it back in place. There we go. We're going to do the same thing on this side. Just a little bit, not too much. Bad things will happen. And you don't want to put all this work in it and then it not look like you want it to look. All right. So I think I'm happy with that. All right, now for the whites of his eyes, I love these little pearl sprinklies. It's shiny. You can use white fondant if you don't have the pearls or you don't want to buy pearls. I use a ton of the sparklies, so I always make sure I have those on hand. Go ahead and just poke his eye where you want those little pearls to live. Just a teeny tiniest bit of water. Got a little bit of black there I need to get rid of. There it is. Okay. Just a tiny bit of water to make it sticky to where those little pearls will stick to it. I can't get it. And then just push it down in there. You don't want it to protrude too much. It'll give him bug eyes. We don't want that on a baby deer. All right, we're going to do the other side here. But sometimes these pearls aren't going to be the same size, so you kind of need to look at that too. So many things to think about. All right, so there are his eyes, and I'm satisfied with those. I think they look all right. If you want to, you can take one of your tools and give him some eyebrows. It's not, you don't have to, but sometimes I just don't know when to quit when it comes to the embellishment. All right. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the snout, and that's really easy. My little pearls are going all over the place. So you just need just a little bit of fondant. Just kind of roll it out a little bit. This doesn't need to be very thick. Just make you a very small circle. Kind of smooth it out. Now for this, we're just going to put it right here on the tip of his nozzle, and I need to make it sticky so it'll stay in place. And again, not too much. So you're just going to pat it into place and give him kind of a mouth. All right, so that's done. Then we're going to make a nose. This can be as big or as small as you want it. You just decide how you want him to look. Just roll it until it's nice and smooth. And if you find that your fondant is drying out on you, if you just want to put just a smidge of shortening on your fingers, that really helps smooth it out a little bit. So once I figure out where I want that to be, go ahead and moisten it with just a little bit of water and put it in place. And this is what I'm talking about, the dark color running if there's a lot of water. So you just want to be really careful, especially when you're working dark on light. And we're going to let that set up just a little bit before we put his nostrils in there. Now I've got a little bit of runnage here, so while it's still wet, we'll get rid of that black runoff from where I got too much water. There you go. All right. That one's a little deeper than I wanted it to be. We might go over that with some black eyebrows because I'm not happy. Let's see, we're going to make that exactly like we did our eyeliner. Smooth it out a little bit. These edges come out kind of rough when you're using the cutters. It's too big. Let's trim a little bit of that off. It's more better. Don't want him to look like Groucho Marx, but I think he needs a little something up there. Some of you might not even be old enough to know who Groucho Marx is. I don't really like him, but he's known for his crazy eyebrows. We don't want our deer to have Groucho Marx eyebrows. That's more better. All right, if we can do that on the other side, we're golden. Or I should have I didn't put eyebrows on the other one. I don't know why I suddenly felt inclined to do eyebrows. Eyebrows are optional. Just kind of have to fiddle with it a little bit to get it the shape and size that you want. Here we go. All right, we're going to walk away. All right, we're going to walk away. Quit messing with it. And she keeps messing with it. All right, I really am done. I'm done. All right. So, pretty much all we have left to do on the head. Oh, we forgot his tongue. I think I'm done with the black, so I'm going to put that over here where I don't have to worry about it getting mixed in with my other colors. We need just a teeny tiniest bit of pink. So we make a little tongue. Just flatten that out. Doesn't need to be big at all. Here we go. Then you just kind of want to shape it to kind of look like you want it to look. If you don't have one of these doodads and have no desire to buy one, you can always use an X-Acto knife for stuff like that. So we're just going to put enough water in there to hold that tongue into place. And then we're going to take our edges and just give him a few little whisker holes. I know that's not what they're officially called, but she can only do so much at one time when she's working. Walking and talking is a challenge for me. All right, so there's what we've got so far. All we have to do now are his ears, and we're going to call the body done. Hang in there with me. I think I forgot my... I'm going to have to leave for just a... Sorry. This is still trial and error for me. She's going to get there, I promise. I appreciate you being patient with me in the meantime. All right, so just if you have a little leaf cutter, that's what you're going to need for the ears. They're perfect, actually. Now for these, you want them kind of thick, not crazy thick, but enough to where you can easily put them in place on the head and they're not going to flop over. I don't want it to flop over unless I just intend that. Alright, so there's one ear. And our other. And you just want to make sure the edges are nice and smooth. And then I'm going to use my balling tool. Just kind of put some imprints. Now when we get done, we're going to use some red luster dust to give those inner ears some pretty color. Because he's so monotone as he is now. It's going to need a little bit of color. Now you can use toothpicks to put your ears into place. I'm going to use these, this spaghetti. It's whole wheat spaghetti. I don't know why I have whole wheat spaghetti. I don't remember ever eating it, but I have it for some reason. So we're going to use it for this. All right. So I think they're ready for us to put into place. We're going to put one here, and then we're going to put one here. And before we stick them in there, we're going to just kind of put a little bit of water. Again, that acts as our glue. And then you don't have to worry about those ears falling off. Probably have more on there than I need, but all right, that's good. I like that. Now the last thing for the head, and then the worst of this job is done. We're going to make a little tuft of hair to kind of put between the ears. Now this one you want kind of thin. So I have this little sunflower cookie cutter that I use a lot. And it's just perfect for something like this. So once you get it out of there, again, you just want to make sure all the edges are smooth. We're going to put just a little bit of water here for goo. And we're just going to put that in place. Alright. So we're going to set him aside and let the head dry. And then we'll tackle the body. Still looks a little bug-eyed here, so let's fix that. All right. All right, the next thing we need to do is make a little breastplate here. And I would normally use white for this, but I don't have enough here, and I don't want to have to go back into try to find some. So since I have this, and it'll match, it'll work, I'm going to use it. Now, it just needs to be big enough to cover here. I have this wacky cookie cutter. It used to be a leaf cutter, but I needed to make an elephant trunk one day, so I kind of bent it to do what I needed for it to do, and I have found I've used it for so many things. I just didn't bend it back into a leaf. But if you don't have a cutter, you can just kind of eyeball it and roll it out and cut it with an X-Acto knife. All right, so we're just going to round it off here at the top. Smooth out the edges a little bit. All right, that looks good. So I'm just going to take my paintbrush and just apply my water so it'll stick to his body. Alright, that looks good. Just kind of want to smooth it out. To where it looks the way you want it to look. Just go around the edges with your glue just to make sure don't have any surprises at some point where it comes loose or falls off. Smooth it out as you need to. Some of these places can get kind of persnickety, so if you need to, just put a little dab of water on your finger and just smooth it out that way. Alright, so that's that. That doesn't look too bad. Alright. Now then, we're going to work on some legs, and we're just going to keep these simple. We don't have to get fancy with the legs, you just keep it simple. Alright, so we're going to do the front legs first, and there's really not much to the front legs. We're just going to make 2 skinny tubes. I'm going to use my pizza cutter for this. They need to be about the same diameter. The length is not going to be an issue because you can always cut that as you need to. The main thing is that they're the same diameter. And basically he's just going to have legs that just kind of folded under him. So something kind of like that's what we're going for. Again, nothing fancy, just basically just the illusion of front legs folded under him is all we're going for here. Kind of want to make sure they're the same size. Alright, so we're going to take our water there we go. That looks better. And we're just going to kind of glue those in place like this. Now, we are going to put just a little bit of a hoof at the bottom of each of these. So just take a little bit of your black, make little circles. They don't have to be too big. Kind of want to make sure they're about the same size. And we're going to just slide that up under there, just like that. We'll do the same thing on the other side. And then we're going to glue it into place. Since I dropped that one, I'm going to get a clean brush. And then you take your tool, just kind of put a little, like you're going to cut it in half, but not quite. Alright, so that's what we've got for the front. And basically, we're going to do the same for the back. We're just going to reverse it. So we just, again, we're not going into an enormous amount of detail on the legs. If you want to get fancier with that, you absolutely can. But for our purposes, we're just not going to do that. We're just going to keep it simple. Especially if this is something that you're doing for the first time. Just, you can advance and do more detail if you'd like, but just to start out with, I just think we just need to keep things relatively easy so you don't get stressed and frustrated and walk away and decide this is not for you. I like to get better and do better, but in the beginning, it's just better to just not try to do something that's going to get you frustrated and feel like you just don't want to do it anymore. So just for this project, I'm assuming we're beginners. We're just going to make it easy on ourselves and try to keep it simple. This one's a little bit fatter than I want it to be, so I'm going to do some carving here. That doesn't cut well. I'm going to use our X-Acto knife for that. Just smooth it out a little bit. Now I think I cut too much. She's keeping it real here. I'm not a professional. I'm just self-taught. And you're going to see what it's like to live in my world when I try to do something. So you're going to see my bloopers and hopefully my successes as they come and go. Alright, so we're just going to go ahead and put these here on either side. Make sure you leave a space for the hooves for the back legs. And we're going to do exactly what we did for the front. Alright. It's a little bit bigger than I want, so I'm going to cut some of it off. That was probably too much. Alright, I think that one's better. We're going to do that front and back, or left and right side. And you're going to do the same thing, just like you're going to cut it in half, but not really. And then when their legs are where you want them to be, just go over it good with some water. So that's just kind of basically letting you glue them in place. Just kind of go along this top line and push them into the body. Make sure you attach those hooves, or when you go to lift it to put it on your cake, they're going to fall off. So just make sure they have a good amount of glue. Not so much that it runs, but you know what I mean. Alright, so we're going to make his tail. And that you don't need a special tool. You just kind of roll it into an oval ball and put a little fluff on the end of it. It's funny, I use this egg carrier for everything except carrying eggs, but it sure is handy. If you want to put a little bit of a twist on it, take your tool here, just kind of give it some little bit of illusion of fur. Then you're going to grab another piece of spaghetti. You don't need a big piece, just enough to keep it from falling off until it sets. Let's see, we're going to let it live right there. Glue it. I didn't buy edible glue, but I've never tried it. You don't really, that's one thing I don't really encourage you to go out and buy, because you really don't need it. This water works fine, because the fondant gets so sticky, it'll stick together. You don't have to worry about that. I think I do need a bigger piece of spaghetti. I get it too long or too short. I'm going to put a little bit of water on my fingers because I can't manipulate it because it keeps sticking to my fingers. So just get it the shape that you want it, and then just glue it into place. Now, I want my deer to look like it has the illusion of fur. So I'm going to take this tool right here and just give it some little lines to, again, just give it that illusion of fur. And if your fondant is not completely smooth, this will hide a lot of sin. So just kind of go over the whole body with a tool like this, or a little butter knife, or whatever you have available. You don't have to go too deep, but you just kind of want it to look like it has some fur. And this will take care of that. Now then, we're going to put some, keep dropping my brushes, I'm going to put some water on here, just to kind of smooth that out a little bit. And then we're going to put our dots, our spots on the back, on his back. And I'm going to do just like I did for his eyes. I'm just going to decide where I want those dots to be. There's no wrong way to do this. And then I'm going to put these little pearls in here. That makes that job easier. Gives it a little bit of extra depth and shine. And you'll want to invest in a $2 bottle of these little pearls. Some things are just worth the money, and this is on that list for me. I was so excited. A day after Valentine's, I went to a big box store. I won't say which one, though I don't know why I haven't been bashful about that before. But at any rate, they had their Valentine stuff on sale for half price, and they had the most beautiful bottles of sparklies, pink pearls, blue pearls, all kinds of beautiful sparklies. So I stocked up, because you can't have too much sparkly. Okay, we're going to do the same thing on this side. Again, there's no uniform way to do it, just whatever speaks to you. Pour myself some more pearls here. I just love sparkly. We're going to put those in place. It's too many. My fingers are so sticky, they're sticking to the tip of my finger. But this is one time that's beneficial. my kitchen floor stays covered with these things most of the time. Not that I don't vacuum, it's just my vacuum, I have a good vacuum. I really have a good vacuum, but it doesn't like these pearls, so it doesn't pick them up very well. All right, so all right, his tail. So he's done. So we're going to go ahead and put our head in place. I'm going to put a little hole under here. And when you get his head in the position that you want it, fill that hole with water. Again, it'll act like glue, and you won't lose his head incidentally or accidentally. Only thing left to do, I love luster dust. You just want a really dry brush. Or if you want to make it wet, what works, I'm not a drinker, but works really well is just get a few drops of vodka and mix it with your luster dust, and then you can just wet paint it on. But I'm just going to dry paint it for this. I go to the local ABC store and get those little airplane-sized bottles. It lasts me a long time. You know what? I think just for giggles, I'm going to give him some rouge. I remember my grandmother thought she wasn't dressed if she didn't have her rouge to go out. So we're just going to give just a hint of rouge, not too much. I got it on his nose. Now he looks like Rudolph. All right. So we're going to call him done. So if you'll hang in there with me a second, I'm going to go back to our overview position, or just frontal. I'm going to get rid of the overhead position. I promised you a cake for this little guy, and I have one for you to see what it looks like when you're all done. Another thing I do with my projects, fondant, when I get everything done, I always just go over it with a coat of water, just to kind of just to seal it. I mean, it doesn't really, in my brain, it doesn't really do anything. It just seals it, sticks everything together. And I know nothing's going to fall off in transit, and I do that with everything I make. When I'm done, I just paint the whole thing with just some clear, clean water. Just kind of smooths everything out. Makes it look pretty. And when it dries, nobody will ever know you did that. But I think it looks better. All right, I'm going to put this stuff down, and I'll be right back with you. Don't leave me. Hi, we did make it back without any trauma, so that's always a good thing. In the last video, when we made the cake plate, I did mention that I would have a cake ready so you could see what the little guy looks like sitting on this cake stand. So this would be your end result. If you would like to do a video on how to do the birch cake decorating, just leave a comment below and we'll make that happen. When I look at this cake, I just have one thing I can say about it. Ta-da! I'm just so happy with the way it turned out, and hopefully you got enough instruction to where you feel confident enough to make your own. I'm not oblivious to the fact that that was a lengthy how-to video, but I'll just be real with you. That's how long it takes. And hopefully you got enough step-by-step instructions to where you can just sit down and make your own. In the next video, we're going to make our Woodland Babies cupcake toppers. And these are quick and easy to make. We're also going to make the chocolate-covered pretzels with the little butterfly and woodland moss confetti. That's really quick and easy and just makes a really pretty presentation. And I don't know anybody that doesn't like a chocolate-covered pretzel. So I'm going to say goodbye for now, and I would ask you, if you don't mind, just go ahead and subscribe to the channel. It's not going to obligate you in any way, shape, or form. You don't even have to watch ever again. It just will help my channel grow. And also, if you don't mind liking the video, even though it was long and tedious, I appreciate your patience. My name is Annette, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye.